Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Podicast, coming at you straight from the amphitheater right here at the University of Botswana campus, man. We are so excited. Tomorrow is the 30th of September, so it is election, actually October, or it's election day right here in BW. So we wanted to get a measure of how the young people right here at Madikolo, the country in the middle of Gaborone, feel about the politics in the country. They've been having their own politics happening right here. There's a new SRC administration that took over from another SRC administration. So it's really, really dope to actually see them seated with each other right here and ready to chop it up with me. So I'm very, very excited about all of that. I'm your host, SCAR, and it would be nice to get a round of applause. How do we kopelo? All right, thank you so much, guys, to the ones that are here. Apparently, some guys are not really good losers. So we wish we could come, but I swear, I'm not dissing. Like, guys were telling me they couldn't come through because they couldn't bear to face the guys that beat them. So the ones that came, we highly appreciate you guys. And and shout out to our sponsor, Techno. You know, all of these are all Techno. They brought your brother here a birthday present right here at the UB. So, go get your Techno phone, man. They're all over the country. But to get it going, in the house today, we're joined by 4 representatives from the different student movements right here in the University of Botswana. First to my right is none other than Mr. Ubonyi Eric Mogapi. He is Secretary General for Moono wa Baithuti. Give it up for him. Yeah, man. What's up, King? And right next to him is Silikanyo SK Mahube, who is the outgoing Secretary General right here at the UBSRC. And he was presidential candidate for the just ended elections. Give him a round of applause as well, guys. What's up, King? And also in the house, the only lady on the panel. You know, equality, mamisto. From the BCP, she is the president of the UBCD of the BCP. Her name is Kimpo Asante Monyati. We welcome you, ma. No doubt. And last but not least, certainly not least, we got to exchange a couple of words. Yeah, I know. He may be of small frame, but homie has a lot to say, man. He's the outgoing SRC Minister of Student Affairs, and he's coming through as now the Student Patriotic Front Vice Chairperson. Give it up for namesake, Tiamo Brian Badubi. What's up? Thank you guys for joining us, guys. We're going to be doing this one by one. So, from how you feel from the just ended elections, what do you think about them? What do you think about the just ended elections? I know you won, but how do you feel about them?
The truth is that the short of it is that from Baithuti and myself included, we are really excited with the results, and we really put a lot of work into it. We put a lot of hard work into it, and in the end, it paid off. I know it wasn't an easy one, especially for an individual like myself who joined the race a bit late, because I only joined a couple of weeks before the election. But managing to win against 2 incumbent ministers, it's a huge milestone, huge milestone. And we also had a first year among us in our cabinet. There's a first year as well, beating individuals who are well established in the political sphere in Madikolo. So it's really great results to see.
No doubt.
Beautiful.
Awesome stuff. What course are you studying and what year are you on?
Myself, I'm a second-year law student.
Oh, okay.
Here in university, yes.
Can't do what's with law and politics. Lawyers love politics. But big up yourself. Thank you so much. You can pass it on to your comrade there, Mr. SK.
Yes, sir. I
can see with your colors, maybe you are bleeding. I don't know. What happened? How did you guys lose power? And, you are the outgoing SG, so this man took your job. What happened?
Yeah, but I think we, as the GS26, we have not lost. We might have lost the seats, but we have not lost. We've won hearts, we've won students who've joined the movement. We've imparted the education that we have, political education. We've been able to meet new people. So we've not lost. But the top, there's always, you either get what you want or you almost get it. And I think we almost got it. The election process or election day was quite funny. There was a lot happening, too many complaints here and there, voters' rolls, but I think from the GS26 we accept that they've gotten power. But it's only for a short space of time, 4 months ahead.
No doubt. What is your major? Like, what are you studying currently here?
I'm a 4th-year law student.
Oh, God. You know what? I'm thinking I'm seeing a pattern here. All right. Yes. Now, big up yourself. And the lady in the house, Mekim Paul, you are the president of the UBCD of the BCP. I want to find out from you, how do you think you guys fared were you contesting for these past elections? Yes, is the microphone on? How do you think you fared?
Yes, I was contesting. Yes, we were contesting. With the UBCD hasn't been much of active in the UB politics sphere. I think from my side, we really did a good job, given the past years. The last 3 years that I was in the university, we were there, but we were in a coalition with some of the movements. Unfortunately, they departed, and even this year we had a coalition with the independent movement, the DSM, and they also departed. And by that time, I was standing for academics, for the portfolio of academics. Yeah. And now here I am being the president, unfortunately, with the coalition coming to an end. So as the president of our movement had to depart as well. Mm-hmm. And then we took over. That was beginning of this semester, and it was kind of a challenge in trying to step up into that role, reintroducing the cabinet, reintroducing ourselves again away from the coalition as well. So yes, we had challenges, but I think we did a pretty good job given the past years as well.
As far as the numbers though, like, was it an increase as compared to like the last year that the elections happened? Is it an increase or is substantial enough for you to actually see if you guys can go at this by yourselves now?
Yes, I think because for the past years we've been in a coalition. Yeah. We've never in the SRC had a chance to stand alone. Apart from years back, I think there was even back then, 2013, 14, there was a coalition with the BMD as well. The other parties were in a coalition with the UDC as well. But this time we just took it to ourselves that let's try and see how far can we go without the assistance of any other party, if that's it. And I think we did a pretty good job.
Awesome stuff. And yes. What is your major? And what
I am a final year criminal justice student.
Hey, okay. All right. Awesome stuff. And Mr. Badubi.
Yes.
You are the outgoing SRC Minister of Student Affairs. And under which ticket were you?
Yes. We're under the diplomatic student power.
Okay.
But currently I'm representing the Student Patriotic Front, the SPF, which is an affiliate of the BPF.
Oh, awesome stuff. Yes. So when did you guys establish this one? Were you guys engaged in the past elections as well? No, it's a pretty new party.
2 weeks ago.
So I'm trying to figure it out. You know what I figured? Because I could tell, like, your passion is the type of brother that would start his own party.
Yes.
So what happened with you losing out to the new Minister of Student Affairs? What do you think happened to Katopo? Where did it go?
Okay, I think let me put things into perspective. Hey.
Yes, sir.
We went into SRC as the diplomatic student power. From there on, we went to a coalition under the Moono Baithuti student movement. I think this gentleman here, who's the SG, is now taking over from me. I think 2 weeks ago I resigned from that seat.
Oh.
So when he's saying that he joined the race late because I resigned from the seat he's now taking.
But he still won, homie. Don't do
that.
No,
he still won.
Okay.
Winning is okay.
I feel you.
So we then decided that I think 3 of the most prominent people in that cabinet then decided to leave. We were bold enough to leave. Others decided to, but we see that Moono is going to win, so let me just stay so that I can win elections. Because of the principles that I embody, because of what I stand for in my leadership, I said, you know what, I'm not going to continue the race the same way the way things were. So we decided to know what, let's move because our interests are not aligned. Then we did the SPF was already there in the University of Botswana, but it was not active. I think it has 2 years just being there but not being active.
Okay.
Then they raised out to us, but we love your leadership styles. Can you please take over this project and make it something great? And we are very happy. We are very, very happy of our progress during these elections. With only 2 weeks, we managed to be a threat to a number of the political parties, to a point whereby even we are being discredited. It was a very good experience for us at the SPF, and we are certain that next coming elections come March, if you're not taking 13 positions, we are going to be taking majority of SRC. Because mind you, this is a project we are making. We are not just here to say we are contesting for SRC. The SPF still advocates for students in University of Botswana, and we are going to continue doing that, with or without the SRC position. Yes.
Can I ask about the DSP then?
Yes.
Why does it break up and then you go there and he goes somewhere else?
The same reason why we left Moono Baithuti.
You guys wanted power?
No.
Positions?
No.
What was it?
I think my sister here, Sanda, can agree with me. The core essence why coalitions fail is the issue of ideologies and principles and conflicting interests. But the moment batho bangwe ba se ba fila gore bone ba go godimo ga bangwe batho bangwe bone ba se ba tshwere power batho bangwe that are bigger than others and actually lose the core essence of why we started something, there is bound to be areas whereby we are not going to continue.
Yeah.
So hi ka re mo tseleng so re Francis Town be ke go bona thena ha ya o le ba se roe e be ke re ke a se roe hela lwena mina ke itse gore ke a Francis Town. So I think that's essentially why the coalition model really wasn't what I personally and what my fellow comrades believed in.
Awesome.
Yes.
We'll come back to that. Just quickly then, your major, what are you currently
I'm an
majoring in?
economics and public administration student. It's a double major degree.
What year?
So it's 2 degrees. I'm doing my 4th year.
So we're econometrics.
Yes.
Maths.
Econometrics, hella. It's tough.
That's how I jumped ship. That very one. Econometrics, eco 321. Jesus.
Yeah.
You're a strong man, dog. And you're able to do. Give this man a round of applause. Come on, man. My hero. I want to take it back to you, Ubonyi. Where were you the 2 weeks prior to you getting into this thing? And how aligned are you with the ideologies of, Moono Baithuti?
Yes. Let me just say, just before I got into this position, I was always there. This t-shirt of mine that I'm wearing, you can see that it's getting a bit worn out because it's been worn so many times.
Yes, sir.
So many times. I've been there. I was always there. He knows I was with him. I was campaigning for him.
Yeah.
I was campaigning for all of them in the cabinet. I was a very devoted member, very hardworking member of the movement. And Moono Baithuti is, as the name says, it's for the students. That's the agenda, and I very much agree with the agenda because I'm all for the students.
Okay. I want to ask about the political affiliation with, I'm guessing, because I see an umbrella, that the affiliation is with the UDC. How does your political faction influence the initiatives you guys propose within the student community as the SRC? How does it link with the mother party?
Okay. I think we are all aware of political ideologies, right? And the UDC as a political organization is a left-wing leaning. That means it's more for the people. It advocates for the people. And currently with emphasis on human rights and the economy to ensure that the people's human rights are upheld and to ensure that the economy is pushed such that it's to the maximum benefits the people, right? And the people usually, we are talking about the middle class, we are talking about the working class, right? And to me as a Moono Baithuti member, somebody who learns from the UDC, somebody who looks up to the UDC, that is what it teaches me, that instead of the people, here it's now the students. It's to ensure that the interests of the students are the ones which are advanced, just as the UDC proposes that the interests of the people out there are advanced, and then the people benefit as much as possible from their country. So it's the same thing here with the students, that the students' interest must be put in the forefront.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I think you can applaud, guys. No one is stopping you. The elections are over. It's only the big ones tomorrow. I think, SK, I can pass you the same question. Honor, your political affiliation with the BDP, what are the initiatives you propose as an SRC for the students here that link with the mother party?
I think you mentioned where we are affiliated to the Botswana Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Very proudly.
Yes, sir.
We are. And I think we take a lot from the initiatives that they have in their manifesto, and but even the plans and what we have been doing at a national level, we've now broken it down to a student level. We talk about now, I think you might know, currently here we have something called Kgwebo le Tlotlo. It's one of the initiatives that we had in our BDP of GS26 manifesto to say, SRC Hompienu, you might know, has opened Legends Baba. That's part of our achievements. In
Oh
office.
my God, the bars are back?
Yes, the bars are back.
Yeah. Nostalgia. Hey,
So
how did you convince them? I'm sure there's a lot of guys who went to UB who want to know. It's been a long time. How are you guys able to turn that turn?
Kana khang no pala khanya 411 location. For 411, most people the past SRCs tsama no tsene di parlo tse. Ne le tsone di batla gore go bulwe 411. Jano 411 ke yone ne ile kgang. The location, proximity to student accommodation, health wise, security wise, gore ablutions and stuff.
Yeah.
So then we changed the location. It's just right behind the amphitheater.
Wow, okay.
So that's how we got where we are.
Okay.
But I was saying, these enterprises that we've been able to open, Bara, print shop, there's a car wash also coming. That's to be run by the SRC. There's Yone Legends. These are bringing in money. And the question is, what do we want to do, Kamadi? I think we want to pump it back into the student community to fund initiatives, businesses, student businesses. Kgwebo le Tlotlo is simply saying, ra go adima bana ba sekolo madi gore ba khone go rana di business, ba simolate di business or to improve. So ke yone chema ya bana ba sekolo. And then we also have it's aligned to corporate social responsibility. We have adopt a police station at national level, government level. When we have adopt a block, approach approach the hardware stores or any I think institution that is willing to help to say adopt this block, maintenance wise, repainting, just to maintain structural integrity of the infrastructure.
Awesome
so
stuff.
That's just a bit of what we had.
Awesome stuff. Mr. Sante, I think I'll pass you the same thing. Looking at your initiatives, your line, BCP, how does that relate to what you intend on doing for students, or what you were intending on doing for students?
As the president of the UBC, what I can say is what I've learned from the BCP, from the leaders from the BCP, is that we want to break free from our problems, our daily problems as students. What am I saying? The management of the UB at large, it's failing us. The past SRC has been failing us in what way? We have issues of maintenance, as he has mentioned, which is going on for the past 3 years that I've been in the university, and now I'm on my last, and we're still experiencing that. And then we also have issues of education. We are failing as students. Our education is also declining as well. But whom do we look at? Is it us as students, or the government is failing us as well? Now, what are we saying as the UBCD and as the BCP? We are saying that, okay, for us to break free from that, we were planning to re-implement the issue of bringing back our student SIM cards as well, because it's an initiative that has been there. COVID, the year 2021, the initiative was there, but it stopped, unfortunately. Yet we are saying we are the new Gen Z. So we are moving into the 4th industrial revolution, which is one of the manifestos of the BCP that we want to take technology to an upper space, which is us as well, because we have we have classes that are ongoing, that are online as well, and not only that, we have issues of having to fall back, especially when we open to a new semester. We have students that fall back. We have students that get delayed in their academic process because of such things. DTF is a problem, late allowances as well. And then what are we saying about that as well, Jorge? Is it the management only on its own, or it's also the government taking part in it? And I believe also that it's also the government, like given that we've been having an allowance of 1.9 and 1.5, but it does not fit, or it does not accommodate our cost of living in Gaborone. We have a shortage of accommodation as well, and in which we were planning on to like advocate for that as well, that no, we need to be protected. We need to be protected as students at large, not only from the University of Botswana, but all across all institutions in Gaborone and elsewhere, that no, we have this problem of accommodation. What are we planning to do? At least can we have an allowance increment so that it accommodates the student welfare at large? A lot of things, actually, a lot of things in which I believe that some of the things I believe that I can still do, and I did before contesting for the presidency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome stuff. And I think you, lastly, Siama, the same question. In what ways has your political faction influenced the initiatives you propose for the SRC that you wish to one day run?
Okay, I ran SRC.
Oh, well,
and
not
I
right
wish-
now, Siamo. In the
Yes.
future there.
In the future, when the SPF now...
And how does it align with the ideologies of, the
BPF.
Botswana BPF? Patriotic
Okay, so I think we need to look first at the national level party manifestos of the Botswana Patriotic Front. We are the only political movement in the country that has brought a manifesto that stated a problem, brought a solution, and brought an implementation plan to that. I think I need to give credit to the Botswana Patriotic Front for doing that, because it shows the practicality of what we are saying we are going to do, the how part as well as the why part. So it's a logical thing to do. I also bring back that aspect back to the University of Botswana. We as the Botswana Patriotic Front actually launched our manifesto pointers, which was actually talking to three main issues or three main pillars of entrepreneurship, good governance, as well as academic excellence, right? So my SG, he's still my SG because he was my SG when I was still in council. Talked about the issue of the Legend Barbershop. It's a simple thing. Sometimes you need the practicality part of things. Legend Barbershop came to UB because there was the need for us to do it. There's a need for us. They have a market of about 20,000 people in the University of Botswana. So as part of that, SRC then needs to be the custodian of the students, and it needs to improve the livelihoods of students. Legend, as an example, is going to train student barbers. Legend is going to employ students in the University of Botswana. That's development in the sense that we have most people saying allowance nyinyane. But what then are you doing to try and supplement allowance nyinyane? We as the Botswana, the Student Patriotic Fund are then saying our issues on entrepreneurship, we then need to find ways of supplementing your allowance. Let's face it, let's face reality. The country, diamond sales are going down. Then that was the biggest source of what income or revenue for the country.
Yeah.
So instead of now saying, get some money, which is not going to happen in a very short period of time, if that happens, something's going to suffer in the bigger governance of a country. So I think the practicality, the thinking, and the reasoning of the BPF and that of the SPF is it shows us that there is a way, there's a roadmap to where we want to go. So we'll give you 2.5 allowance without the practicality of it. We are factual. We are not giving you a hope that we are going to fail to deliver. We are not just giving you something that's going to be like, I'll do this. We both know that ahona madi or banana wata madi, but we are just giving you this utopia that will never be there. So I think we are very realistic in our approaches and how we are going to get things done, and that's the most important thing that we need to do as honest and as true leaders. Based on the challenges that they are facing. So yeah.
Awesome stuff. I think I'll pass this one to you, Asante. How is it important to have a political party affiliation? Can't you guys just go at it alone?
Okay. At some point, it's important because when you are independent, you tend to not like have source funding. So I think being affiliated is part of like getting resources and money. As you can see by the GS, finding rona kana ra thotsa bone kana ba mo pusong manana o ke ba pumpunyega ya ka ba bua ya no ga ne se ka gone le gone ga ne se ka gone go pumpunyega go gore madi a diriswa bothaso ya lo atikela mo go bone bo SK kipa tsa bone le dikhuku tsa bone di tetsegela mo sekolo nka belene gongwe a se mo maemong a na le mo go one. So I think it's part of like getting funding and resources.
All right.
Yes.
I think I'll pass that to you too, SK. You were part of the answer. What do you think about going at it alone, independently? I think other tertiary institutions in Botswana had political affiliation with national parties. And even in South Africa, I think that's a big thing. Do you think it's important to have affiliation with an actual party?
I think it's very important. I think she mentioned party funding, but for us, that's not what we
do. You get money before do you guys get help?
I can agree, yes, but not really.
Not a lot.
Like bone. That is why I was referencing them. Bone ba hiwa ka gore ba mo pusong yanong ha go ta go rona ga tswe jalo like batho ba ngwe ithela ba bua ba opposition ke struggle so ne se teng struggle ya ka le bone ba bone gore some part of us or some part of our movement in ya pallwa halele because ga gona gone that. But in terms of yone hela, it's some sort of like ideology, like bringing the concept of at national level to us in the student community as well. That is why I think is also important, apart from political funding. But in that aspect, it brings ideology of a party inside a movement. Because because people don't get a full understanding. What does it bring to the table? What does it have at hand? Because by it has always lived under the wing of certain movements or certain parties. So us having to be independent this time also, I believe it has brought a sense of an idea of what we bring to the student community at large.
Awesome stuff. I think the same question.
Yes, I think we do get funding. It's one of the needs or the motivation behind political affiliation. But more nakana administration and also I think it's very important to understand that SRC group by baby shower. Or you need to there are strategies, there are processes that you need to, there are strategic partnerships that you also need to have.
Yes, sir.
So Rona, I think the motive behind SRC is to advance the interests of the students.
Yes, sir.
How best do you do it if we are the only option because we are on the side of government. So in any case, GS26 behind that. But Moono came in and jumped in. But we need to have strategic partnership with government. We get direct support from ministers, from people in government, and we get the real issue. I think that's one of the reasons why we need political affiliation. It's very important that we affiliate also to direct, I think, youth participation in national politics.
Okay.
Political affiliation. We don't get students to register for elections, but because of political affiliation, we are motivated to do that because we see the importance of doing it.
Awesome stuff. I think I'll pass it to you also, Ubonye Wanori. Do you think, you guys can do without political affiliation, or do you think it's important for you to have, a motherboard?
Yes. I think they've actually addressed most of the factors, but I'll just say them in passing quickly. The issue of funding, that one is very crucial because and me coming allowance I'm 1.5 and that's all I have, and then I have to compete against people who can bring big artists, people who can print thousands of t-shirts. It becomes an issue. So that's where you need some financial muscle to assist you, so that we pay less stage in Yanahali because without that you lose out.
I always want to ask that question though. Honor, because I was in UB at one point. I tried to stay very neutral because as a broadcaster, but my surname has me out there and people already make assumptions. I'm disaffiliated. But I always chose not to be too affiliated because you never really know what's going to happen in your life when you're looking for employment or whatever. Because there's always these rumors, and some people have proven them, or sometimes if you are to opposition, you might not get work in the civil service, you might not get special treatment like people who are with the incumbent party. When you're a student at the university, don't these creep up in your head? Don't you think, if I'm going to start struggling now, I'm seeing this is a struggle for the main party. How then do you resolve that for yourself?
I like that you brought that up because it's very much relevant.
No, I'm him.
Yeah, very much relevant. SK here just mentioned something about them being able to communicate better with the current government and be able to convince them better. So that on its own, before we go any further, goes to show you how there's a sort of bias towards who to work with well, because it's saying the government is able to work well with them because of their political affiliation, which implies that me being in the opposition means they are not willing to work with me, although I'm a citizen of this country, legally a citizen of this country, without any hindrance that is supposed to stop them from working with me. And then speaking of issues of job security, I'll term it, it's something that we do think of, but then you know how we call ourselves comrades. This term is not just a term. I know they use it decoratively. Some of them don't even know what exactly it means, but it means you're a fighter. It means you're a soldier. Okay. And for some of us, we know these risks. We know we probably won't get employment in government positions as long as they're in power. But then we are willing to take that risk because we are comrades and we are fighting for the cause. We are fighting for the people, our people who are being oppressed by this government.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll pass it over to you, my homie. Well, it's not the same question. I got a different question for you. How would you, how would you address the influence of SRCs within their main parties? Do you think it's a back and forth situation, or do you think the main party just tells you this is what we're thinking, go spread it to the young people at your university?
Okay. Tota, I think I could have loved a question that you had asked me.
Okay, no, go for it, pa. Yes. Go for it. Go for it. Okay, what are you guys are gonna get the same question? Because I was trying to. Yeah. All right, go for it.
So let me.
You want to respond to it also?
The first one, affiliation.
Yeah.
Affiliation also in two ways. It's important, but then it's not. Financial muscle, I think it's high time as young people come together and I say, you know what, we as young people need to advocate for the needs of young people. And we need to be able to associate or affiliate ourselves with solution makers. I'll give a typical example. I might believe that there is better sense coming from someone from the BCP. There is better sense coming from someone from the BDP. But by the mere sense that by virtue of our affiliation with the Botswana Patriotic Fund, then it means that I think this issue of affiliation, we need to look at it in a holistical way to say, What then are we doing? Because part of SRC or part of student leadership is supposed to groom national leaders.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to groom national leaders, we need to have an element of mentorship. Same for the BPF. It's not like all the leaders you can learn do this but by virtue of affiliation, then you as an individual now then are limited. Because for example, I'll give a typical example with my personal life. Personally, I speak for youth development and advocacy. And it means I have to work with people who are, for example, ministers or PSs. Ne? And these people, by virtue of their positions, can minister around me. I'll think contrary to what Mohapi said when he said that there's an element of biasness. It's not always the case. We become too political to the effect that even if House Akoleki feel opposition. No, it's not the case.
Yeah.
Just this July, we hosted the Southern African Universities Debate Championship, which was one of the biggest debate tournaments in the country. We had countries from SADC coming here in the University of Botswana. And you'll be surprised to know that most of the people assisting me actually doing all those things were people from what? The so-called BDP, the so-called ministers. And they did so because they also want to help the livelihoods of Botswana. Then the second part of the issue of affiliation is it limits student leaders, because you then now even inherit matata to a point where you cannot even work to help the students more in Botswana. I stand for SRC because I want to help a challenge or problem I see in the University of Botswana. So it should not mean that you be and actually address those things to Banaba school. If, for an example, the BPF fails, it won't fail nationally, but if the BPF fails nationally, I should not inherit the BPF's failures to the Minister of Botswana and now say SPF Yaho fail. If the BDP is failing nationally, it is failing nationally. We should not take the failures of the BDP to the GS26. That affiliation then now makes sure that we are losing pure quality leaders that we need to groom as young people. Parliament arona 10 years from now, ikabele monate Obonya le mogone, Mahubia le mogoyone, Asanta le mogoyone, Kile mogoyone, because these are capable leaders. But now, because of virtue of affiliation, I want to destroy Asante because of the failures of the BCP. That's wrong, and we are not grooming a future that we want as young people. Obana, if we are going to want a future that's working for us, we need to be there for each other as young people, despite our affiliation, wherever it is. Then, back to Botswana imports.
Yeah.
To say, aren't you afraid of our lives? The moment you put yourself in the spotlight, it's a risk you are willing to take. And my mother always says this about, you have a bright future ahead of you.
Sounds like a mother.
Yeah, you know. Hey, and I'm like, Mama, sometimes you need to take the risk, because I don't think anyone has done something that's very much impactful without the risk of it.
Yeah.
And we are always working mind on, hey, what if something good happens? What if, from what I'm doing, 20,000 students in the University of Botswana see the value in what I'm doing and actually advocating for those people? 20 years from now, my younger brother Form 1 will be living in a Botswana. It's conducive for him, it's conducive for his and own kids. So I have to start somewhere. Someone has to take that lead. So yeah.
Awesome stuff. I think I'll pass that one to you, SK, about the reciprocal relationship between the mother party and the student movement. Is it a symbiotic relationship? Do you feed into them as much as they feed into you? Or is it a situation where you guys are just there to just recruit young people to the party and not, tell them what's happening on the ground?
No, I think it's a give and take relationship.
Yes, sir.
That we have with our party.
Yeah.
I think I should indicate the 40th Congress National Congress IBDP, we were there and we were recognized or acknowledged to say, by the SRC batting and by GS26 from other institutions that are affiliated to the BDP. The SRCs were as well represented. Now, even in policy making, we are called to the table to say, in tertiary institutions. We have structures that Rona is GS26 the National Youth Executive Committee. So we communicate our grievances and problems from our perspective to say, when you are crafting a manifesto, you need to be informed. So our manifesto, the mindset change manifesto, we have contributed to say, these are the problems that we want to solve. One, unemployment, to say, graduate, then what? Or our advocacy does not end in UB. It ends from what graduation. So we contribute to policy making, we contribute to the party, the direction it takes as well. And where they come. And we are not a recruiting machine, organ hell. We do recruit proudly because we are also listened to when we need assistance.
Awesome stuff. And I think the next one goes to you, Mr. Obonyi, because you're in your third year, you're about to graduate, right? So you're in your second. Oh, you're the one on your third year. You're the one who is about to graduate. I want to talk about the upcoming 2025 national elections. And given all of these promises and proposals that, I think your party is making, I think everyone will speak for their own party. And also, I guess, the incumbent party is incumbent, so you can speak on that as well. What promises and proposals has been made by your party regarding employment and economic opportunities that you see is not being done by the incumbent?
I think the most pressing issue, above all, is the pay. It's something I speak about each and every time I get the opportunity, that Batswana are being paid peanuts. Batswana are being paid peanuts, and it's just common knowledge now. It's something that people want us to accept. And as the UDC, we refuse to accept such a status quo, because it's pure exploitation of the Batswana. Because as Batswana, we cannot be having our people working so much, our people working for the number of days they work, only for them to be paid Boma 1 point something.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at how much rent is, before you even get to the food, before you get to the transport and all the like, it's a big problem. And that's where we start. That's where the UDC proposes the whole transformation to begin, with better pay, right? And then moving on from that, the creation of opportunities, that is the creation of industries. If you can look at how the world works these days, the biggest companies, Techno, the biggest companies that manufacture all sorts of things, the mega companies, that's how the world works. If right now everybody here in this premises was to come together and we formed a mega company, compared to me alone forming my company with my resources, which company would be much more successful? It's always the mega companies. It's always the mega companies that triumph. It's always the mega companies that come and outcompete the small companies. And the UDC is proposing the creation of mega companies. And the aim is to create 2 mega companies here in Botswana. One to be focusing on manufacturing of medicines. And manufacture of medicines is a good place to go as compared to electric vehicles, because the demand for medicines does not end. People are always ailing, people are always getting sick, and that demand is never going to end. So that's a good demand, and that's a good industry to venture into. As compared to trying to advocate for luxury EVs, electric vehicles, who's going to buy them? Who's going to afford them? First of all, to begin with, We cannot even afford them here in Botswana. An ordinary Botswana cannot afford it because we are 1 point something. We afford a young. We need to start looking at such things, right? Yeah. And then now moving away from the issue of mega companies, we have the focus on non-academic abilities. Very much neglected, including the Khanzas, vocational training. They're neglected sectors because I don't know why we neglect them, because everywhere where you have an academic idea, you do need some vocational effort to make it work. This building was drawn by somebody. There was an architect, somebody who came in academically. They drew the plan for the structure. Engineers came, they did their part. And then there was a man who came, there was a woman who came. There were the bricklayers and the ones who assembled the building. Those people need to be put, their value need to be looked at and reassessed because they're undervalued very much. And then there are issues of sports. Issues of sports and arts, such as debates, like Mr. Baithuti was mentioning here. He's a fellow debater. Such things are talents which should be exploited. There are talents which you should cultivate and develop from a young age. We need better sporting facilities. I play for the Botswana hockey national team right now, and it's difficult. You find that sometimes you have to pop out money from our own pockets to go play for the national team. What is that? It's a big failure. And those are things we need to look at and improve. And such things will open numerous opportunities for our young people. These mega companies will produce tens of thousands of employment opportunities for our young people. And then that's how we open up opportunities.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Memonyati, I think I'll throw this one at you as well. You know, it is election season, and given the promises and proposals made by your party regarding employment and economic opportunities, you know, what is the BCP planning from a student point of view?
Okay, Santlahela, ha nkarata wa khola leadership kana bogogi ba BCP in terms of management. The Kibatu Bailon Harota Heloko management embassy. They've long been preparing for these elections. They've long had the primary elections last year. Basimulati campaign is a bonekanako, Haisu, Tuhote, Holola Kaulo, Kana Holola Insesinti, Kana Mango Batamang, Mango Hanekalo Kualola, let the denomination, what I want to hello Bohoki Bating, Gibusia me. But in addressing that question, Santlahela, BCP, Ilwela Hore. Banana in sporting activities, they should be encouraged. Yeah. Giving an example, you cannot say you want to host AFCON. Midi stadium motsarona di sa siama rsanzernali grasebo eleng le other teams from international countries ba tshameka ba bona hela re le tsone hela ha go sa go ka tshameka ganting, yet we say we want to host that big activity. Santla hela nkarata hela gore we should start addressing that issue. Re simolla hela go bonyaneng. We should be having sporting academies. I mean, other countries, for example, I would like to give an example like Ronaldo. He has his own academy lo gore e simolletsa hela go bonyaneng e rotwetsa bana gore okay, how le morati wa football o ka tsenya ngwana teng, ngwana a simollela ruri bo tsentse go le go nyana, because it's not every child we lo gore is academically gifted. Bangwe they are gifted ko sporting. We have our sports stars gone mo Botswana, and how ro a lebella seemo sa sports sa le se emisitswe years back, and we have our athletes ba ile gore nka be le bone ba ba dirisiwang en na bone the coaches ba bulelwa di academy ba rotetswa e se ka nna gone gore le ha o bona gore e se ka le solo go le hela ha o bona gore nya mina kwa bone e chile, but we still use them re le bana ba pakota se ba tanko morago ga bone, because ha se go rapa lo re le Batswana. It's because we do not have the right equipment, we do not have the right resources. That is why in nankare go di sports tse dingwe rapa lo yet re na le bana ba ba khonang. And then ha re ta go di kganyeng tsa employment, ke so se sutusang bothoko, because ngwaga le ngwaga ra graduate ke a tshoga le nna gore ngwaga o tanka ka mmeyana ka ke hetsa gate ke a go bereka kae mme bile gongwe nka hirwa gongwe bile ka lesego nka se ke ka hirwa ya ka o thalositse gore being a nation politically affiliated mo SRC, it can also hinder you opportunities. So ka tshoga gore gape ngo go tankira me BCP yone ya re we've been having mismanagement of things. I think the country is run by a government does not have proper or good management skills. We cannot have a country where each and every year produces graduates, yet eben na yone puso ya rona yenkareng enyatsa our education system. And then when it comes to our primary education or get our basic education, I feel and I think it's time we should change our curriculum. BCP it's a high time we change our curriculum, because we cannot have curriculum at the end of the day, we how from 3 standard 7 or from 5. What skills do you possess out of the whole 12 years of you in school? What skill do you have? It's nothing. It's
I know parts of a grasshopper.
I mean, parts of a grasshopper. How do you apply that in this time? I think we should. It's a high time we change our curriculum as well. And then in addressing that as well, the government, I feel like the government, this government of Selekanyo has put us in the situation that we are at now. Rele banana, rele bahudi. He's here argument wa gagwe wa morata ke pelo ya gagwe me bile ya ka bua re go nna politically affiliated yana mo go ene go mosola, because there is that kind of relationship yanong nna ka gore ke ithopetse gore ke nne go position gore le go nna. For him it's simple and easy, given that he has the contact as early as it is now, but Rona, it's not everyone. And then when it comes to issues of technology, like I said, we are moving into we are in the 4th industrial revolution. It's high time we have access to Wi-Fi, access to free internet every spot. Yet we are saying we are the highest learning institution. No it's a good initiative, but do we know the risk of having to catch Wi-Fi in an open space? What about security? What about security? Like I mentioned, I'm a criminal justice student. I deal with security issues. And on that level, we have shortage of from my course, Rase soling retse ko re setse le one course a rona re le banga ba course re setse re inyatsa mo go kalokalo gore because society has labeled us to be labeled gore re nne batho ba me re se batho ba re se ithutela sone. So ke dilo tse ileng gore di ngomola pelo me BCP ya re Botswana Congress Party ya re inya ba gaetsho a ine nako ya gore re ikgolole mo seemong se re leng mo go sone re lebeng tsela e ntšha re reetseng. And also what I like about the BCP is that they are saying they are going to introduce youth parliament in a part of parliament, which I believe is a good initiative, because ya ka braina na bua ka kanyo ya ga brain kopangwa le ya melaga selekanyo la ga obonyi ka kwa e ka re thusa le gone to engage with the youth as well. Iska hella mo SRC, iska hella at university level, but it's well le kwantle, because how le bella gompienwana it's so difficult. Le ability to passive, we tell we put our address will do they bring solutions to us as young people, or are they just said because they should be said? Do they really address our issues at national level? Kanake hela ka gore nya hela ka gore go buile mongwa ko team SK le nna ke le ko team SK make you dumele hela gore ka gore re mo teaming. It shouldn't be like that, which I believe it's something that really addresses what we really need from the Botswana Congress Party. And then when it comes to unemployment as well, I feel we should be motivated in whatever that we do. I mean, how lebella seemo sa matitjhara se ngo mola pelo ke te ke re bothi because matitjhara le bone ke dirisa bone le sekai, they are not even motivated to go to work, teach and really produce good marks. I mean, every year, each and every year we are declining in our education system, which is something say how when are we going to reach that step? When are we going to reach that level? An educated and a prosperous country in Vision 16, Vision 36, but are we saying, what are we saying? Is there any progress in that, or is there a decline? There is a decline because of course they are not even motivated because or it's conducive to work in. It's not a space they should work at. SK like you said, it should be a space it's easy for communication, given that it's your government. But sali atsena le gale ke sa re yena but yo ntseng a tswa a juleng ke bulela ditwe le ena a boela a ye go tlhaloganya seemo gore go ntse jang teng gore a mme batho ba le ba ha go hapegileng teng gore ebe ba ka bereka wa bona ya nong tsone di kgantsone tse di ngomola pelo le yone thuto a rona re dumela gore ya ka maloba president wa me o rategang e bile ke tsa gore ka di 30 yana go tebe go tsena yene go a suma yene position ona thalosa gone gore thuto e tshwantse re simolle ko bonnyaneng a simolle ka bana bana ba ba itelang ba re gaisa kana ba itelang e le bone ba nkare ba re gaisa ba ko English medium. It's because ba iswa kana ba tsena sekolo ba tsentse ba le bannyane tlhaloganyo le one be e tseeletsa e kapa ka speed le ena re yalo a re o batla gone go simola lenaneo le ile gore ga go eme go tungwana o na le 8 years or 7 years a ba simolla preschool yes tsitsitseng go government ba re ba batla go simolela ruri go bunyaneng me le gone go simolela go bunyanana. They are saying they want to address social issues or social factors that hinder marginalized groups or that hinders kids or children to fail or not to perform academically. We have social problems. You cannot say sekai ipilegeng ke tiro it's a decent job and for the next for all my life. It shouldn't be like that. We really need to address from the root cause as to why do we have certain problems, why do we have failures in our academic sphere, why do we have failures in our everyday lives. Ke rapela le modimo gore Batswana ba bone le sedi ka di 30 ba tsenya seleshando e nne ta busang SK gongwe le ona tlhaloganyo e ka bula ga ke sa go roge SK.
I think we should give SK the mic. It's only fair, and then we'll round off the question. No, I'm so sorry. We're talking. The floor is yours, Papa. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Opposition. I want to have a cadira and a coalition. Yeah, have a SK. Fragmented. But still, whether they come with 5 heads, 1 head, or pipe in there.
Oh,
that's exactly what's happening tomorrow.
No, you can respond to Asante.
The policies that we speak of, Moho and mindset change, Manifestos or BDP, are alive to the current problems that we have now. We speak of 300,000 jobs. Really BDP. I think we've broken down to see this is how we're going to make the 300,000 jobs. Significantly, I can recall, I can't speak to particularly but mineral beneficiation in 12, I think it's 15,000 jobs. Illinois. That's a sector on its own. So per sector, sector so now these are things we've been setting up a fundamental foundation to say before we can have jobs, we need now to bring in investors, we need to bring in certain companies. We know the Kimberley process has set up an office here.
Yeah.
That's one of the achievements. Before we can employ people in the mineral sector, we need to to place such structures to support. Ke tsone dio tse le reng tse di dirile ya because re khonne hale ya nra khona gona gore re dire ditiro tse leng gore re bua ka tsone. But how re o ketsa allowance in 2.5 o sa akanye a University of Botswana student a go bolela re ha re go mo inflation go a tshela go teng. Wena o le tautona re o emetse bo tautona o bontse o tswella o opela 2.5 ke kganyelelo re na e re ngo molapeng gore you need kana dio tsene mo di bua gore ha iso run an organization an institution la ile company hela o palo ke go era kantelo hela o phadimo hela o ntsha number e tswang but ha re banyatse gore re la hela re ta ba ha chance ba go ikgakologa ta ha ba setse ba thwahetse e ba le ka go tsa puso gompieno it's not happening,
no doubt,
but I've spoken to you on unemployment, or what are we doing as the BDP?
Yes, sir. And employment and economic opportunities that your party is putting up. I'm happy, you see that these can actually help the student community, especially because ba graduate and so what are some of the things that you see being lined up? I hear you mentioning Tsonetseo. I don't know if that's all of them.
It's not everything. Yeah. It's not everything, but
yes, sir.
So kana arutsuhil erta dire don't worry, we have you sorted. Erta go here. But for I think for graduates, for students who are tomorrow graduates.
Yes.
And then the BDP we are not only reliant on creating employment rona. Yeah. We are giving you resources. Whatever chema, these are things that we are saying. We are pumping money into these sectors so that we are now Botswana an ordinary Botswana business. We are alive to the fact that Batswana habana madi ailong hore asimola di business. So the government, the BDP led government, iba hile madi ailong hore ba apply la kana mata khanetso gore khanetso e tshaba thata gonna e nna e boka mathata me hankeng tsa di solution. O taithela ha register mo beitsi. Ha register me ke moithuti o ngora ga ka madi a re gorile hana a tsa mananeo a dirisa a government. It's limitless. Kura ha gona mo go teng a thaola gore mango nai o tsaeng wa amogela wa 1.5 wa amogela 1.5 because you're on campus students o qualify la chama ha wa apply o qualify la 2 ha wa apply government a roga 60,000 to reke dipudu reke dikgomo ha wa apply tsa le thako o be hale o leme ha wa apply go ro gana sengwe le se batho ta bona o boka mathata la bo ke tsuru. We have solutions in place from the BDP led government to say this is the problem, this is the solution to the problem that we're speaking of. But you're always praise and worship yalna ke yone ya mathata ha le rapelle go re go tsia ke tsone tse re di bua but go thomosa pele bile go rutisa bothoko but ha ke ntse ke tswela go re le gone hela go buisana kana morero a kere ke yone le gore re bua thata ka yone.
Yes, sir.
We come to a point where we're saying the SRC home, I think the BDP government recognizes the need for SRC to speak as one. I think last week, sometime last week, we were meeting with the minister. Union. Baithuti has been representing for the past 5 years. The student charter to 2.0. But lahansi good lemo pusong kana ke re go bereka so re ke office.
Yes.
O khona tshwara kimi o sa tsene mo teng. But we are currently working on a union that's supposed to speak to problems of the students. SRCs should affiliate to this union, and it's an association to be exact, not a union. But we are speaking to creating platforms that resonate with student problems, and that also platforms that we can come and sit with government to say these are the problems that we have and how do we solve them. Awesome. So that support from the BDP-led government is in opposition. And parliament BDP, and I'm very proud to say that we are getting back into government. Muzenda State House. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think I'll pass it to you, Brian. The same question. I don't know if you want me to reiterate it.
Yeah, please.
How do you feel about the upcoming national elections, and given the promises and proposals made by your party regarding employment and economic opportunities?
I'll be realistic with you. The Botswana Patriotic Front, we have fielded 46 constituencies.
Damn.
Yes, it's a very big number.
This is not an underestimation. God, I just know it's it's been having its own back and forths with so many people. That's an impressive number.
Very impressive. And sometimes the problem that we have as a country, because and that's what makes us different as the Botswana Patriotic Front. And we are bringing solutions to that. Our manifesto is based on a theme. We are building back Botswana. From independence up until 2018, Botswana was going somewhere. 2018 came on. Monna bataka JCB atuba sesintsensaghiwa, dismantling what we have as a country. I think you can attest to this. There was once a time you were proud to be a Motswana. There was once a time you were happy to wear these colors. A simple bipuso it's we have lost the Botswana that used to be. We have lost the education that used to be. We have lost our great country. We are going to be voting in the BPF because, mind you, the top already we know social media. The top already we know the TikTok challenge. The top already we know kahore o khona go tsaya di bus di tswa mo Gaborone di tswa ko Mahalape di a ko Ralingakwa. Di winner ka gore moeteledipele wo teng we metseng batho o teng, and that leader is very close to the needs of the student of the people. The top or puso it's also era na ka practicality. I'll give an example ka khanya one manifesto point in the BPF when you talk of social safety nets. The BPF also view that in as much as you are trying to be a progressive government, is going to move from rebuild we need to account to the mere fact that we need to have social safety nets. Your day-to-day Motswana cannot have those things. I think 10, 15 years ago, companies were actually building houses for them through the presidential housing appeal, whereby lots and lots of Batswana actually had houses. The presidential housing appeal was an equivalent to the RDP houses that go South Africa, where people can actually apply for that. It was now a starting program. It was helping people have houses. As the social safety net, we are saying that the inequality between the rich and the poor needs to be bridged. We need to give a day-to-day Motswana access to basic things: water, housing, one has in a school. I want to go to a school. I want to move from Kolaping. I go school thing. So we found the problems and we know the solutions to it. And we need strategic alliances in such that Honana, as the BPF, we have people who have actually been in power. We have our patron, who has been the president, who knows how these things have been happening. We have Batwa Longore advise the BPF, who know what government is. Because just give people numbers. We had a president, or we had a campaigns manager, our patron, come up and say, guys, look, but because ke bone go senyega re ka bankanya jana le jana. The BPF is the only opposition party it has a practical solution to the problems they Batswana ba di face, because the strategies that we have or we are going to be implementing ka sena go tsa puso ke ntse ke utlwa mongware ba tswella ba wina nya ha go iragale ga re sena go tsa puso ka mosore le ba BPF ra go bankanya dingwe tse ile gore re itse gore mathata a teng a tswa ha kae. We know the cancer in the BDP, hence why we ran away from the BDP. And he will tell you this: people currently are still leaving the BDP to join the BPF because they are running away from the cancer e leng gore e teng mo BDP. Ba bangwe ba ntse ba nnetsegela mo BDP ka gore ba tshaba go tswa mo BDP, but they know of a cancer. Ga ba ke ba go Moono, ga ba ke ba go the UDC because ba bone ke tota it's a baby shower group ya ka monga sa go bua. They
What is this baby shower thing?
Ha ke itse tota because if as an organization, how do you operate without a constitution? I think constitution is the essence of it's a governing document. Go to a organization, but UDC, I go hopefully ke bona manifesto constitution UDC. By BCP bonnet hey. We'll get to them some other time. So because on the last exam, we are the only practical solution creators in Botswana's problems.
Thank you so much, Brian. I think I'll bring it back to you because we're about to wrap it up and because we don't have a lot of time. We started a little bit late. My apologies, technical what. But I want to find out, and this will go through all of you guys, like in a space of 90 seconds. Actually, let me just say 2 minutes. So I want to what do you realistically think your chances are of winning? The mic, is it on? I think it's off. Yeah, realistically, and this goes out to every one of you. And what do you think realistically is going to happen? Because we're going to the polls tomorrow. How we level no? Olungwana wa madikolo, Leonard. Osa irehela ka ro bona dio tse di trendang mo timelining.
Yes.
What do you think are your chances?
I think the UDC stands a very good chance at winning these elections because, first of all, Botswana is sick and tired of having a comedian as the leader of the country. Second of all, we are tired of people who come and claim to have solutions when the only thing they can fix is their patron's hair, the afro.
Oh my God.
The UDC has provided a solid manifesto that will solve the solution, that will solve the problems that Botswana are facing. Botswana are facing numerous problems and we are sinking alone. And the UDC is the solution and the UDC is here for the change. The UDC is here with the change and we are coming with a seat. Viva UDC, viva.
I think, you can take it next, and then we'll come back again. Okay, because he's incumbent, I think we can pass it to Asante. But what do you think, Mama? Realistically, Hela, you guys did an amazing job. As far as launching everyone on time, putting everything up there, I hadn't paid attention to that as well. Like that's very, very good management. We've had Mayor Unity Da on the show and Residira Khoroba as well. So it looks like it's all planned out properly, but you can prepare, but life is what happens after you prepare, So how realistic do you think your chances are?
Given BCP is a guy, given that 2014 we were not that good, but 2019 we really improved. We were under the coalition with the UDC, Ebebaira, Tabadi Riling, Batobahana Kati Kaulo, Makwala, Hana, Lea Kaobana, Lumpiano, Batsense, AP Dingalor Bale, Lama AP. But Ketaikerota Siama only if they had a good leader willing for Ha Kanyezi Ene, Wa Kanyeza Lehati is not of self-interest, but is of a national interest. And then, from 2014 to 2019, I believe that the BCP stands a very good chance, given your management the we ban. Kana ke thalusetse kere tota hela re ke ra ranwa ke batho ba ile gore le bone go thakathakane ha ba itse gore gate go hiragaleng motho ha o mora o re yana ene o tswa yana do tsa bone di so impractical, and then realistically I believe that the BCP stands a very good chance. One mathata ko re libile selekanyo helana me one mathata lone ra biletse ke ene Brian Baithuti le puso ya gagwe ka kong ka gore ha ne se ka ga ene nka be re se ha o ta bona hela le gone gore bone ga se gore ba mo pusong ga se gore ba mo Batswaneng o ta bona hela gore ke it's a personal vendetta ke dio tse leng gore ga se tsa lehatsi ke dikgang tsa bone ga re itse gore go iragetseng gare ga bone me hela ha o e kanoka ka litho la sepolotiki o ta tlhaloganya hela gore gommo ga se e tshantse ile matshamekwane a go le go ikaga sesha le bone gore ga tilira la Batswana eng le taka eng go ta go aga Botswana le se go taka le paletswe o paletswe patron o khonne ha khonneng teng, but he failed us at some point. So I think you as a student, as a learned student, you need to sit down, advise them as well gore nya ba gaetso go mo ke le hatsi ha ka o thalosa ga se baby shower ga se committee group ya mo ga se LLC ke le hatsi Brian Baithuti ba ke but yes, I mean, basically, yes, we really do stand a good chance. This time, our leader is so...
Actually, let's speaking on that before we pass it on to Brian and then back to SK. What do you think about all of these court cases that are happening right before? Do you think this serves towards, your mandate to Alona? Because there's a lot of court cases happening right now against the IEC. That the BCP has put up. What do you think, as someone who's championing their cause here in school, do you think that's taking away from what the main goal is, or do you think this is also just to keep people accountable?
Tota all we want is free and fair elections. Tota batho ba di court case ke ba ka kwa ba ga mogapi ba re mogapi ke bone ba reng hela ha go to one the court case sekai no yes the BCP has taken the IEC to court because of tsone di khantsa gone gore voters ba re ipeletsa gore voters roll go ka tswa gona le batho ba ile gore ga ba ikwadisa batho ba ile gore ga se Batswana wa itse re mogapi wa itse re se lekanyo gore khankeng yanong all tota hela in fair honesty all we want is free and fair elections, because re tshaba puso ya ga se lekanyo gore ya ka ba bua ba tshogile le bone ba ipotsa gore a bata boela mo stulo yanong ba le ka one ma re tshwanyana go ka bata go boela. That is why we want that voters roll to be seen. Mo Batswaneng re batla tsone dithopo tse gore they are fair and free. Ha ile gore ha gona tsietso re lapisitswe ke go rula ya ka ba le hatsi le lengwe le ka. You cannot say o batla dithopo tse di free and fair me o a go benchmark ka le hatseng le gore they are the most corrupt country. I believe they were blacklisted le Botswana le no ke la blacklistiwa ka yone puso ene ya ga selekanyo ka ha, but me hela gone rona hela me ha re batho ba go drag di court case kana re bata go dia dithopo kana re bata go ipata ka di court case re batho ba ile gore re batho ba nnete re bata go golla Batswana ke nako Batswana re lapile Batswana re hutsa heads.
Ke rata ha mokauleng wa me a le mo ga gore ke nako ya gore BPF e tsa puso. But I think let me first on all I think address this issue not only to Asante but to Batswana Kolapi. The Botswana Patriotic Front is not it's a political movement with political ideologies as created by what? By our party manifesto and our party constitution. Kanya gore a pressure group ya patron ya rona needs to come to an end. We are a political party that is very dominant in the opposition scape of this country. Let's look at parliament. They just ended parliament. You'll do a research, or how many members of the BPF were there? After let's not on UDC, how many of the BCP were there? In terms of individual representation of our MPs, what were they doing before? You should look at the caliber of the people we want to send to parliament. I'll give an example. Our area MP Resekati. Go look at Resekati. Go look into what he can do and what he can deliver. The BPF is a political movement that is going to be the leading. Honana is the leading opposition in the country. The 32 seats, because mind you, I told you filled 46. So realistically, it means that we would have to work really hard. But looking at the time frame that we've started our campaigns this year, because they saw the threat that we are. Now our campaigning merchandise is to BURS in different points of entry. That's disadvantaging us also. So looking at the time frame that we had to prepare for these elections, I'm saying that the idea or the vision is to take government, but really knows. We might see a situation like that happen in South Africa. But the BDP is going out. The BPF will be having majority of the seats. We might not have the 46 vote, but we'll be having majority of the seats. 31, 30, 25, but they'll come talk to us.
That's not how you do the thing, though.
Hey, but that's what I'm saying. But in terms of organization, in terms of readiness, we are not going to get the 46 that we have filtered for.
Yeah.
That's a fact. We started our journey late. We had our shortcomings as an organization, but we are moving forward. And we are a progressive organization that's going to be looking beyond just 2024. And I want you to take this on tape.
Yes, sir.
2029, BPF will be the leading government. The Retshwere Puso ele rona party le gore e khona go tsamaisa lefatshe la Botswana ke tla ke le minister a gone ho ke tshwere kgaolo ke le ko parlamenteng 2029. Mark my words. Ke a leboga.
Mr. SK, you do know, like, things trend. These things last a long time, so I can't wait to be supporting Pa, because you'd make an amazing, amazing legislator. No, on the real. Mara is all party, the human being. He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah, we listen to our support.
Yeah. SK, to you, Pa, how are you feeling? Like, what are the chances of the BDP winning yet another 5 years? And how confident are you about this upcoming elections?
I think one, thank you ka Tautuna Navarro is a comedian. Kelan Tarbana Tautuna at Zanamo Batswani, Arli Talebazwa. So go on at Taylor Babon, Haba Toy. Yano Barti Siritzi, lawyer Rai, William Shakespeare Kanangaru. He's trying to be someone he's not. People who work with him would tell you that he's not who he portrays to be. Kiraboko. UDC hai talo hai. Malobane Hotere mo councillor Rom Jason Rantat. He's been campaigning for them. And then on the day of nomination, Eba Munza. On the Mapakela nomination, and I lay Quailor Hogano Galegua. Eba Tingamuto Elor, usually to put the SRC, Opera to Goberga, Naguan and Talmo SRC. Ba mo Parlamento Abana Horon Central, Gamuto Elor, Hanimo Zwan, Unna Coco Senti, Bartela Gamuto remote hobby. Ha, you harem money. It a very ramat, Bab Uto Lebel, Barwa win, Bawin neighbor, Hote Opala Guraka Hakona Hasi. But Tautunar Naganakimuto or Otamanes daughter is very clear. We are winning these elections. Movie dunya wearing Jacka Sharon, I guess what I go. Anna Jacka Sharon. It's clear to say there's no hung parliament.
Yeah.
BDP is winning these elections. We are confident and irreversible sa hana rementi. Kura harna ko pause.
Yeah.
Harbela ile sepeaka His Honor the Vice President. Arobela ile Muzenda. We are very confident. We are winning these elections. Mo habone ke go tsosa modumo. Ya ka sa tso go bua Litopadi win mo Facebook. Na ha pholo e tsena mo Facebook go te who are you voting for? Ke vote UDC. Me a ke tsena go pholongwa. Ke tebe ke betsa dom kra.
Yes sir.
And then the other thing that we have is, I think I'll quote Red Balance Reshando. You guys kinga to pin net auton. Kire. Ona bua maloba a bona party ya bona engale tsuke batho ba bantsiana. Is because o thalosa gone gore emisang go ganetsa hela e kare ke hobby. It's not a hobby. this opposition thing. Ganetsa o na le mabaka a e leng gore o ganetsa kae. He said the aim of these elections is not to remove BDP, but to make change, to make sure that change happens. Yeah, no, o tabole moithuti mo UB, o pasitse form 5, o pasitse form 3, o pasitse ke ra gore o tsena mo degree, o tsaya degree ya gago. E beta gore o thopa, o bo sa thope o lebile gore mang o tsisa eng. O thopa hela because o thopa di color. This is not pick and choose ya go primary. We are voting to make change. We are voting leaders who are going to be running the country for the next 5 years. My opposition man mental to our bago top hela because ki by UDC to be exact. Bago top opposition because by barata color blue. But we are or tshwantse ro top o lebile motho. And BDP highland thing humpiana. If you delay the candidates rona ka bodom ka ga ba rona re dumela gore these are the best candidates, not because we like them. It's not a popularity contest. Maloba yo mga tautona wa bone ba win top mo SRC na palo ke debate ha bona di top di tseno humpion na kopile mo examing where we are because of him. This court case, this back and forth that you're talking about, ke gone gore ha go tsamaiswe sepersent, but o tshabile go takwano gape na tshabile debate o rumile en ha can't speak to that. Me ne ke boela gone gore as BDP we are ready, we are organized, we have credible leaders which we have fielded for national elections who are winning. I see an increase in the seats.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking around. I think to be fair, ke lebile political landscape ya gompieno ba ganetse ba tana ba ganetsa hela batho na ke lebile 35 seats.
Oof.
35.
That's a big number.
It is a big number, and we are confident ya ke tlhaloso ra tsa puso.
Awesome stuff.
State House.
Awesome stuff. Now, thank you so much. And I think in closing, I think just to say your final words. Hey, when on to it's a piliano, but bago end bago tasela. We so no reflex. So this is like you got 60 seconds to say your closing words. You can talk to Botswana Gogai all over, the ones who are watching this. You know, what are your last words? It can be to call them, to prompt them to to vote for your party, or you can just tell them what's on your mind. Or you can just hit back at them. It's late there.
I'll not get much into petty fights.
No doubt.
Outside UDC, you can't be fighting about the whole various certificates.
Oh my God!
You can't do that. So the simple words I would say to Motswana Kogai, Monana Kogai, Mogolo Kogai, is that you've seen what you've seen, you've heard what you've heard, but you know your challenges, you know who knows your challenges, you know who has the solutions, and that is the UDC. Motswana Kogai ka mosotso ga o thopa sente. O thope UDC. Let us be considerate. Let us look at the people we are voting for, because Nancy Kutobuiwa about how we at UDC vote looking at party colors. I don't think they know our candidates that well, because we have very credible candidates, very good candidates, and several various certificates, like I said, because that is something that's very common. Something that's very common. BDP yellow. There are things we cannot accept. So Motswana Kogai, be considerate. The choice is yours. This is for me. This is for you. This is for our lives. We've had enough of this. We cannot put back whenever we yellow, so let us stay away from such and make an informed decision. Kamuso. Thank you.
Awesome. Mr. SK?
I would want to advise and bring people to light to say UDC is very desperate to get into power. It's a stunt. Somebody
Yeah, but come on. I think anyone, that thing, the way it was just a bit, okay, from a journalist point of view, not as like a gas supporter, but it was just, come on, you guys can do better than that sometimes.
You can do better.
I think we are not all dumb, guys. Like, just do better, And I'm not refuting it. I'm just saying, Yo,
But
if you
I
can
think
write
that
something
the-
like that, that's crazy.
Communications, Rona has addressed to say, homoleki, that desperate, we let them. Those are the last kicks of a dying horse, but we let them die. But we need to now vote people who, one, are credible. And credibility wise, I live we have like a certificate, or a degree. Me say it's over oka to Batswana yang. O say it's low ne matata one. Ya kaine butalo erong yo arong we maha. Han mo haboron central. Ha it's matata rona re le Baithuti. O dirisa mono wa Baithuti as his campaign vehicle. That's okay. I'm not going to challenge it. But what I'm saying is, we have people how to have various certificates. He's challenging qualification, educational qualification, and that's not the only thing that should qualify you to get into an OMP office or who win at the top. They have struggled, they are part of the struggle, and now they are part of the solution as well. So degree. Positions imagine in the last elections ebe go tere mo ireta utone akanya sa topic batho ba ile go tshela le wena o ba bona malatsote o bo re wena o ka emela la hatsi ke lo yala tse ile re ha isere ko re ha iscore di bone but ta ke wetse ke re ba itse ka moso let's do what's best for this country, and it's to bring back the BDP, while the only party was still the only alternative. Thank you so much.
Awesome stuff. Miss Munyasi.
Ngarata hele ke a khole re mo gaipi gore o se pagamisi tilo mme a ska tsa le konte ba sta se palama because voters rolo ya super hela or bana mo gaborone bana mo UB they've registered less than 1.5. So mo ile gore win ya mono ba ithuti doesn't determine UDC at large.
That's 20,000 students.
20,000 plus students did not register to vote mo Madikolo. It's voters rolo ya super, it's 1.5 less. Oh, 1.1 to be
that's
exact.
That's like 10%.
Yes.
12% that's
super hela or banana hela ya ka selekanyo buile re thopile hela ka gore ke mmala wa party ke blue o gontse hela e se gore hela ba thopile ba itse gore go iragaleng. And then how ka lebelelo ne population e thopileng, it's people by law they did not register le one voters role le one ra ipotsa gore a mme 1.1 ba ta go thopa ba bothe mo Gaborone Central Village to be exact UB because ba ngwe ba graduate ba they've moved out of school ba FDs hela yalo me hela ha ke tswale ke re motswana wetso gakologela gore rona ra re mo mosepolong wa kgololo ka di 30 re tebe re na le ene dumelansa le santo ballot di balwa go tikene tautona wa rona e seng ba e reng gore last minute re ta bona sengwe le sengwe se hegosa me 5 years o hitile re sa bona sepe.
Is it? Yeah, it's there.
Well, se thabolla Batswana ke dio tsa bohehu dio tsa last minute selekanyo ke tsa ke re wa re ithutela tsa go nna lawyer o ta ba advice in the future gore ga go dire jalo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yes sir, Mr. Batubi.
Ke buisa Motswana ko lapeng, ke buisa monana ko lapeng.
There's your camera right there.
Yes. Opposition is not just to oppose. We put gore BPF for clear like go joina coalition go gongwe ra tshaba. AP ya tshaba ka 2019. BMD ke o tshabile, BRP ke o tshabile, BCP ke o tshabile. Sente go tshabiwa eng. There's a common denominator. And still there. The Botswana Patriotic Front is still the only alternative to the problems that we have. The leaders we have been tested in government before, they have delivered. The leaders we have now have been tested in the various fields and delivered. The leaders we want to send to parliament know of the problems we have qualified people. We are growing as a movement. We are the youngest political party, which is, and it's surprising. Attention in BPF for heavenly sake, we just turned 5 a few months ago. But the impact we are making, go bona se re tshosa diphathi tse leng gore sa le dirwa ke ise ke tsholwe ba se ba re tshaba ba re bitsa bodom kraga e meng go supa gore the impact is there.
Yes, sir.
And everyone can feel the impact that the BPF is going to make.
Yes, sir.
Everyone is going to be amazed with the election results. Take a look into what happened in South Africa. Ke nako ya gore re tsene mo pusong, ke nako ya gore fetole dilo, ke nako ya gore Batswana ba khone go itemosega le bone gore gone me bokamoso bone bo go kae. Reimagine the Botswana that you once had before, and reimagine us rebuilding it and developing it to even a better landscape. Ga re tsa puso re bankanya dilo. We are now building back the Botswana that is destroyed. Ke a leboga.
Wow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our show. First of all, man, I'm more than impressed. Like, I turned 40 a couple of days ago. And I know people my age that are not even on this mind frame that you guys are on. Let alone the fact that you guys are actually in school. But, you know, there's some people buying a lot about in school. But the fact that you guys are able to be so different in your ideologies, but you're still able to laugh with each other and still be friends, but still make points, you know, that make me wonder. I think you guys deserve a round of applause. Guys, pop in India, the dog. Our country has a very bright future if you guys are going to be running it. And so thank you to you, Mr. Obonye Eric Morapi, Mr. Selekanyo SK Mahube, Meke Mpoa Santi Munyati, and Mr. Tiamo Brian Badubi for being amazing guests. And you guys have a bright future, man. I don't know. You should graduate. Don't be like me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our show. We'll catch you next week on a Wednesday. We're having this show on a Tuesday because so we're going to air it right before you guys go tomorrow to go vote. So vote wisely, man. This is our country. We love it. As long as we come back on the other side together, that's all we want, okay? So, next up we got Dr. Rakura coming through to talk a little bit about health matters right here on PODI-CAST. So keep it locked. Second round.
Different identities. Podcast with BCP.
All right, guys, and we are back again. PODI-CAST coming at you straight from UB, the University of Botswana, or how I like to call it, the country in the middle of Gabs. It has its own rules, man, and we're having a great time. That was a great conversation with some of the student representatives. But right now, we're talking to our resident doctor right here, Dr. Rukara. And last time, I made the mistake of not having you flex and tell people why it is that you're the one sitting on this seat and not any other doctor. So we went and got the best for you guys. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Emma, just so people have an understanding of what it is that you're qualified in, you can just break it down to us. Like, what line of medicine are you into?
Okay, so I'm a specialist physician. So after my GP training, which was my undergrad, you then go on to specialize in a specific field of medicine that you're interested in. So I went on to do what's called internal medicine. So I'm a specialist physician. But then you also break down internal medicine because it's a broad branch of medicine which deals with specific organs or specific symptoms. And then I went on to train and subspecialize in a field of medicine called rheumatology. Okay. So I'm a physician plus a rheumatologist.
Okay, and we did speak a little bit about rheumatology and where does it concentrate on? Like, is there a specific thing that,
So as rheumatologists, we specialize in what we call autoimmune conditions. And these are basically diseases where your body is attacking itself, as well as other conditions, especially every form of arthritis, which we manage medically before there's need for any surgical intervention. Okay. And then there's a wide variety of other diseases that are rare, which we call connective tissue diseases that are broadly involved in the diseases that we manage. So sometimes rare, but sometimes common diseases are managed by rheumatologists.
Awesome stuff. And I think the one that we're talking about is such a disease because, like, a lot of the time we see it on TV. We get, like, our favorite celebrities diagnosed with it. But of recent, there was someone who put down a comment on one of our episodes, and they wanted to know about it. So this is why we're bringing it to you. It's called lupus. I just want to understand a little bit about it, like a brief history of what lupus is.
So lupus is a disease that is managed by rheumatologists. So that's a good thing that I'm here today.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the history of the disease, knowledge of the disease has progressed, first described around the 13th century. So that's how far back in literature we've had records and evidence of people being diagnosed by the disease. Mm-hmm. So lupus is a Latin word that means wolf, because most of the patients that were described to have the disease had specific ulcers, especially on their faces. And it seemed like someone had been bitten by a wolf. Yeah. So lupus actually means a wolf, and that's where the name came from. In terms of lupus, it's a broad disease. There are different types of lupuses. Mm-hmm. So it can be systemic, which we call systemic lupus erythematosus, where the whole body is involved. But the other forms of lupus include what's called discoid, which just involves the skin, subacute, also just involving the skin, drug-induced, as well as neonatal lupus, where a baby is born from a mother with certain antibodies and then they develop the disease. Mm-hmm. So the history has progressed over the years, and in terms of exactly how to define it and how to diagnose patients with the disease, it has evolved to now we are with better diagnostic methods, yes.
So how is it easily distinguished from any other type of disease? Because I know, of course, you have to go and get a doctor's, check on a doctor, but how is it that, someone from anywhere like me can be able to say, okay, that's this and that's that?
So because of the wide range of presentations, I always say that no two lupus patients ever present the same. Okay. In terms of how they present and how they progress, it's always different. So it's important to have a doctor who has an acumen, like who's able to actually pick up subtle signs and actually be thinking that could this patient be having the disease. So there is certain things that can assist a doctor or doctors to make up the diagnosis. We call them classification criteria. So currently we have what's called the ACR EULA classification criteria, where we look at certain clinical things. So let's say a patient presents with a history of joint pains, a history of rashes, a history of maybe bleeding disorders. It can be a woman who's having issues or complications during pregnancy. It can be someone who's having kidney dysfunction and even leading to renal failure. Yeah. So the presentations for lupus are broad. Yeah. So you actually need to have a doctor who's keen and has a neck to diagnose it. And then there's specific blood tests that we do that also assist, which we call serology, where we actually look for what are called autoantibodies. Okay. And when these are positive, then it points more towards a diagnosis of lupus.
Okay, so how prevalent is it today? As compared to back in the day? Because like I say, it's one of those diseases now that you see popping up a whole lot and people have been diagnosed about it. Is it more prevalent nowadays than it was before?
So I think with autoimmune diseases, the prevalence varies depending on where you are in the world. So you find that in European countries, in the Americas versus in Africa, the prevalence of the disease tends to vary because there's always an ethnic and racial predisposing factors. Mm-hmm. But overall, worldwide, the prevalence is between 25 to 70 per 100,000 people. Okay. And I think with time, autoimmune diseases, not just lupus, have increased in number. And I think it's a combination of environmental factors as well as better diagnosis and better recording. Mm. So we're finding more people getting diagnosed with lupus, not necessarily because the disease is more prevalent, but because now doctors are able to actually say, okay, I think this is lupus, and then we can confirm the diagnosis.
I want to talk about doctors though. How easy is it for a general practitioner to just be able to pick it up? Because we go, we check guys, and then, sometimes they just give you pills because maybe they think it's just joint pain. But, do I have to come to a rheumatologist?
I would say if a patient is suspected or is diagnosed with lupus, they definitely need to see a rheumatologist. Okay. And the reason for this is because with the training that we undergo as rheumatologists, we're able to pick up the subtle things as well as things that can be missed by a general practitioner or someone not trained in picking up lupus patients. And what they say is usually the delay between first symptoms and diagnosis of lupus can be up to 5 years. So you find find that a lot of patients that I've met, especially in Botswana, you'd find that they had symptoms presented to the local clinics, seen doctors, but never really been worked up or a suspicion of lupus being there. And by the time a patient really now comes to your offices, either they've got damage or organ failure as a result of the disease. So we kind of miss the boat.
Yeah.
So any early suspicion, a rheumatologist needs to be involved as early as possible, because that determines outcome of the patient, as well as reducing the damage and complications surrounding the disease.
Awesome stuff. And what are the current treatments that are available for lupus patients, and how effective are they? Is it something that you can manage and be able to live a quality like life?
So treatment for lupus is varied, and it all depends on how your patient is presenting. So the backbone of treatment is what we call steroids, glucocorticoids, but they have a lot of side effects. So because of that, we now need to use other drugs which we call steroid-sparing agents, and these actually suppress the immune system so that your body stops attacking itself. Okay. So in terms of lupus treatment, there's been a lot of developments that have occurred over the past few years, because previously in terms of FDA, so what happens is the FDA actually prescribes a drug to say this drug is specific for lupus, this drug is specific for rheumatoid arthritis. So for lupus, for many years, we only had one or two drugs like chloroquine that were FDA approved for the treatment of lupus. But in the past few years, we've had a couple of drugs such as what we call biologics, belimumab, aniflunomab, that have been FDA approved for lupus, and voclosporin, which we use for treatment of kidney involvement for lupus. And I think more exciting in the past year or so, there's what we call CAR-T therapy, which has been developed initially for treating leukemia and blood cancers. And that has been tried and tested in lupus patients. And the exciting thing is that the few cases that have been given this drug, the patients actually went into remission. So when you talk about remission, it's actually when your disease gets better and you actually get off medications and your symptoms stop. Okay. So that's very exciting, because previously lupus has been a chronic disease and you always needed to be on something. So it's very exciting in the world of lupus that we are looking towards actually a possible cure. That's
what I'm getting at. With all of this excitement, are we going towards finding a cure? Is it something that might be happening? And in Botswana, I mean, like the person who dropped the comment on the section is actually from Botswana, and it blew me away, because I thought that was white people stuff. So that's why I'm trying to figure it out. Is it something that we should be paying more attention to in this country, because it can happen to, I guess, anyone?
Yeah, definitely. It's a worldwide disease. And unfortunately, Africans get a more severe form of lupus compared to Caucasian and other races. Oh, no. So when Africans get lupus, it's a combination of factors from the genetics, the way it presents in African patients, and also poor socioeconomic. Because one, they present late. Yeah. Two, there's no access to the rheumatologist, access to medications, so their outcomes are always poorer than the world-developed countries. Yeah. So Africa and lupus is very common. I mean, in my clinic, I have at least 10 or so patients that are managing with quite aggressive lupus. And I think on a daily basis, for those who see patients, you'll find that it is prevalent. And it's not a disease for white people. Like you mentioned before, celebrities who had it. If you look at it, people like Nick Cannon, he's black. Michael Jackson apparently had it, involving his skin. That's why he had all to cover up his hands. He had this scarring form. Seal, the singer as well. Those are black people. What's her name? Toni Braxton as well. So those are African Americans. So the genetics in black people are actually there. In Botswana, it's there, and it's quite prevalent as well. Though rare, because it's not a lot of people who get the disease.
Awesome stuff. And I think in closing, though, is there advice you'd like to share with those who've been recently diagnosed or currently managing this condition?
I think the most important thing is to identify that lupus is a chronic disease. It affects quality of life for patients. The more prevalent it is, it's among the childbearing age. So you find people who mostly get it are women. A ratio is 9:1 to males. And these are people who are supposed to be mothers. Yeah. So it affects their quality of life, their parenting, and even their fertility, as well as outcomes in pregnancy. And it actually shortens the life expectancy of a patient if not managed properly. So I think my main advice is, if anyone has lupus or suspects having lupus, they need to be seen early for early workup, early diagnosis, and appropriate treatment to be put in place. Yeah.
Awesome stuff, Dr. Rukarra. And I'm always messing it up. She never thinks I say it properly at all. Okay, so where can we catch you at? Like, you know, are you on the socials? Like, where you at?
Yeah, so we are at Rumamed Clinic. It's based in MRI Block 7. Our page is on Facebook as well as LinkedIn and Instagram at Rumamed. So yeah, you can get details of how to get in touch with us on there.
Awesome stuff. And as usual, man, you catch it next week as well. And we'll be discussing other conditions that may be out there you might be suffering from. Or you might not know. I was turning 40 the other day. They're all coming at me like this. So my appointment is definitely being made.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of our show. It's been dope. Shout out to everybody here at the University of Botswana. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.
People of different identities. PODI-CAST with BCP.